This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop G&O, the Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, the Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, the Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop G&O, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Well, hello everybody. What is going on in your world? My name is Conor McGilligan. This is the Rumour Mill. It's the continuation of the Rumour Mill past Rumour Mill deadline. Yes, we're here on the 4th of September. We're talking everything Leeds United today. We're talking about news outlets, things being said, things not being said, things being done, and things not being done as well. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. I've not done a live yet on the comments yesterday from Robbie Evans and how this fits into everything when it comes to Leeds United right now. The situation with Ramazani, the situation with Joseph, Meslier. We're going to talk about Josh Brownhill, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Today we're going to be speaking about formation. We're going to be speaking about Parag Murat as well. So yeah, we're going to be making sure we're doing that, everybody, and hopefully you get to get your thoughts in the comment section below, and we can delve into it on the One Leeds sphere. Thanks for all your support over the last couple of days as well. Check out the video from the other day, and yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Let's see what's happening. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat as well. I can see there's a lot of angry people. My goodness. Danielito says, rumour is they've lost the plot. They're against PSR while trying to do failed last-minute deals. After paying $10 million for a fullback cover, at this point, the club is trolling and gaslighting me. Velo says, good morning, Connor. Hiya, mate. How's it going? Jay says, we put probably the most important window in the hands of the most inexperienced recruitment team, and we paid the price from the club. Indeed. Yep, indeed. Let's have a look what you guys are saying as well. We've had Adam Floppywood and Barry Evans from EastEnders in charge of our most critical transfer window ever. I was thinking of the window, and at least if we do get relegated, we'll be financially okay. But can we do the same for the others if Sunderland go down? Aren't they actually screwed? It doesn't really matter, mate, about Sunderland in essence. Monox's morning, mate. What shift you put in the last few months? Thanks for your work. 49ers have left us down. Indeed, mate. Indeed, they have. Hold on. What we're going to do, we'll go for this one, or should we go for this one? Yeah, we'll go for this one. We'll stick with Ellen Road at sunset. We need that. Because Gary Senior's crying in the chat about the background. Oh, I don't like your background. I don't like your comment, Gary. How about that, mate? How about that? How about them apples? But yes, let's have a look at what's going on anyway, shall we? Right, okay, Largie, Ramazani, what did we figure out yesterday? And please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well, everybody. I want to hear what you're saying. So what do we know? Robbie Evans yesterday said there's no buyback option because we insisted we have the option to bring him back. Why was there a recall clause requested then, Robbie? Why was there a recall clause requested on Ramazani? It just kind of just puts out that maybe wasn't as truthful as maybe. And we did a little bit of a breakdown on it yesterday, everybody. But I do want to get your thoughts. You're not able to get your thoughts in live anyway. And there's other bits that came out in the part 2 of the interview, which really started to get my, Gary, get under my skin a little bit. We added Jack and Okafor to make it harder to get onto the pitch. Ooh, yippee! Jack Harrison. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, but to be fair to him, he did say, about Ramazani. He did say he was coached by someone who they know and trust, which is fantastic because it is, like we say, Mr. Carlos Corberán, who is an excellent coach and definitely was on their list, of which they slipped to Mike McGrath, who's been with them everywhere from Ireland to the States. Mike McGrath did say that Carlos Corberán was on their shortlist if they were to get rid of Daniel Farke. So, yeah, interesting that Robbie came out afterwards and said he was coached by someone that they know and trust. But it is good to see that Ramazani, there's no buy option there. I think that's really important. And this is to go down on the article a little bit because, guys, right now, the article is framing what we're thinking when it comes to transfers as well, right? When it comes to free agents, when it comes to loans, when it comes to PSR, when it comes to our current players right now, our targets. The whole article yesterday frames everything. It frames everything in terms of what we're doing. So we've got to touch on it. And some of you might say, oh, Connor, I don't need to touch on it again. We have to. We literally have to, because it's what we've got to go on post-apocalyptic window. Post what has seen Leeds United do okay in 2/3 of the pitch, but in the most important part of the pitch, which is the bit that this guy does thrive in, they've let us down massively. And we don't need to go over it again and again and again, but we do have to use this article from The Athletic as framework to build a narrative. Has to be said, has to be done, has to be spoken on, especially when we're conducting the rumour mill out of transfer season, because hopefully we're constructing something which means that we can do something in January, because they might have to. They might have to. Gaza said, has Largie got a recall option? Apologies if I've missed it. No, he hasn't, mate. They tried, but Valencia said no. But they won't tell you that. They won't tell you that. So, talking about Mateo Joseph as well, which I think is most important as well when it comes to this whole stuff as well. He's played 3 games so far and he started against Real Madrid, which is really good for his development out in Mallorca as well. Kyle Larin as well, who was playing up top for Mallorca, has actually been loaned out to Feyenoord, which means that Mateo Joseph is effectively the main man in Mallorca, which is great to see. Hopefully he's going to get that development. And what I found interesting as well is obviously he's been starting for Mallorca. They clearly rate him, which is great to see. I mean, we all want to see Mateo's development get to there. So then when he does come back, we're able to stick him somewhere of which might be in the starting 11 if he has developed to a certain level as well. Now, Underwood said yesterday, there is no way you are getting an option for this player. And I wanted to group Ramazani and Joseph into the same conversation, really, because it is interesting how he's been so strong. And I'm not sure many other people have really picked up on this. I've not seen it anyway, but he's been so strong in particular on Joseph in that article and Ramazani effectively then bargaining that tool of, no buyback option when it came to Ramazani because we insisted we bring him back. Mateo Joseph, there is no way you are getting an option for this player. But it's interesting how they've got rid of them in a period of time where Leeds United need attacking players. And that can at least be said for Ramazani. Joseph, you understood it. He wasn't, turning up. There was a point of which, Leeds had to make that call. But Ramazani in particular, it feels like when it comes from Evans, when it comes from the top, they know they've got 2 players in here. And could those 2 players at some point this season have made some sort of impact? Just in terms of just durability and being available as well, being a key marker. Not so sure with Joseph, but definitely Largie Ramazani. But so interesting. And when you look at these as well, there's a certain somebody who I don't think at the top of the helm in Daniel Farke, of this captain of the ship, does want Mateo Joseph. Or will want Largie Ramazani. I think I'm not sure. And Farke has been good at reintegrating players within the side, but is he going to give Mateo Joseph minutes when he comes back from Mallorca? They've said that there is no way you are getting an option effectively for both players. So then, from top down, have we got a little bit of a conflicting message there? A conflicting ideology? Or is it because, if we're being brutally honest, maybe they see Daniel Farke as not being here and these are the assets of which are going to take Leeds on? And Farke's not going to come out and say, I don't rate these players, but when we're looking at squad selection, even in the Championship, we know Farke rates other players ahead of them in terms of squad selection. So, for me, 1 + 1 = 2. Potentially, Daniel Farke isn't going to be using these players regardless of the situation next year. But the senior people at Leeds United rate these two players evidently very highly. And I thought in the Athletic article, and as I say, I don't think many people picked up on this, but the language that was used in and around Ramazani and Joseph was unequivocally, they're our players, and we do not want to seek any option elsewhere, which I find quite interesting, to be honest with you. So have a look at what you guys are saying as well. Kirsch has said, all we can do is, cheers for the donation as well, mate. All we can hope is Peru, Aronson, and Harrison, read that the wrong way around, perform above their level, because they don't. We are down. Article was just smoke and mirrors. Completely agree with that. Jordan Fisher says, that's even more annoying. Ramazani is a Leeds player, which means we should hold the cards. Seems like every team leverages their hold over us, but when we want a bring back clause, we fold. The thing is, Jordan, for me, mate, how it comes across is that, as I keep saying, the language used and the verbatim used is very much like, no, you're not having an option. But they've loaned them out. But there is evidently an opinion from the Leeds United side that they will, well, not even an opinion, factual foundation that they will be bringing these players back. There is no option. And it was very, very strong, I thought, with Robbie Evans' language. Our Stripper says, 24 squad and 4 keepers. What a complete balls up. Pete says, if we get a new manager at some point in the season, they can't recall either. Great planning. Exactly. 100%. I agree with you there. Steve says, let's mull over it now, but say from Saturday, we need to move on and get behind what we have and really get behind the team. Agreed. Or is it money? If they go rip it up, that improves their value to sell on in the summer. Well, the thing is, Dan, people are going to come back to this, aren't they? They're going to come back to this regardless of, and Leeds fans are sticklers for language use, which we've seen over the conversation with, when we've been talking about what Fark has said, what Parag has said, what everybody has said. Leeds United will hold it. They will hold it. So I agree with what you're saying as well, everyone. The balanced approach is that we move on. We get on with it. Leeds fans are sick of this. I completely understand that. But this is framing everything, guys. It's framing everything. And I hope when you come on this channel, you get a balanced perspective. I will try look at both sides of the coin. I don't think they've done a bad job. I don't. And I think what some Leeds fans are saying, I think is way too far. I think when you look at the acquisitions of certain personnel, they've done a really good job. I think the acquisition of Goodmanson was a really good bit of bargaining. I think when you look at the acquisition of Beale, Stack, excellent. I think when you look across the squad as well, there's potential there. So I think they've done a good job. And I think up until the German pre-season camp, when they'd brought in 7 players, they had a superb window, which was way in advance of the rest of the clan in the Premier League at that point. But from that point onwards, from the German camp onwards, Leeds brought in 3 players, one including James Justin. So we have to talk about this because I think they've done 2/3 of the job. I think has been really decent. But I think the other side of it, let's be brutally honest, everybody, when it comes to the most important side of things, and when I'm talking on the Room Mill, a lot of it has been how many goals do we need? How many goals do we need to score? Leeds United are going to have to score 50 goals this season. So with all the stuff that we're talking about when it comes to positivity and just getting behind the lads, I get that to an extent. But on this channel, it is all about the 3Ds and has been for a while. Discussion, debate, and discourse, and alternative opinions build that, of course. But we have to be honest here. We have to look at the reality of the situation. With Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with Lucas Mecha, Aronson, Harrison, Okafor, Dan James, and William Yonto up top, and obviously the midfield contribute to goals, but we are heavily relying on the forward line, and especially with the comments that we're going to get onto in a bit, is that team going to score 50 goals? I don't think it is. I do not think that team is going to score 50 goals. So the positive side of it is we might get to January and there might be a way of which Leeds United can then do something, fingers crossed, in the January window. And we're going to try get into this and see where Leeds could maybe do something. Scott says, okay, this is interesting. Once again, different point of view. Scott says, I enjoy your content, Connor, but you're fluctuating quite a bit on your view of this. On your stream the other day, you said the window has been quite poor, but now you're saying they haven't done a bad job. On the window the other day has been poor. Scott, I'll be brutally honest with you, mate. The language I use, I try to be very careful with a lot of the time. I think the window has been poor, and I think there will have been context added to that. And when you've been listening to all of the transfer window hours that I've been putting in, I've been saying that two thirds of it has been good. As in the two, you build up a squad, don't you? Full pie. And I think 2/3 of that pie has been good, from the defence to the midfield. That's what I think. Scott, that has been a consistent theme on the channel, mate. And I'm not gaslighting you here like we were gaslit the other day by the 49ers, but I don't know if you've heard that correctly, but I think all the One Leadsers will attest to the fact that I feel like I've been very fair with them. I think the language they were using yesterday was abhorrently bad. I think it's been a PR nightmare, disaster. But I've always been quite thorough when it's come to the front end of the pitch. The front end of the pitch, I think, is weak and it doesn't get to 50 goals. That's always been my consistent view. The defence, the goalkeeper, the midfield, I think has been a really good building structure. Hence why the other day, Scott, when we were on a stream literally yesterday, I gave it a 5.5 out of 10. And that obviously adheres to me saying that there's a slight part of the pitch which is good, a slight part of the pitch which is poor. So, yeah. As you said, I enjoy your content, Connor, but you're fluctuating quite a bit on the view. You said on the other stream the other day, you said the window has been poor. I've never said it was poor, mate. I said the back end of the window has been hideous. The last month has been hideous. I've never said that it's been a poor window, honestly. And that's kind of where I've been, Kyle. And Scott, it's not me calling you out, my friend, at all. It's just those listening skills have got to be on point when you're saying I've said something, mate, because it's just fundamentally not true. And I'm going to give you that leeway if it's been a bit of a mistake. On the whole, he said it's been a good window, but obviously could have been better. That's kind of where I've been at the whole side of it, as Kyle said, mate. So morning, Lisa. Hi, hello, Lisa. Lisa in the building. Yep, good to see. Good to see you all joining me this morning. Okay, I wanted to talk as well about Scotty Brownhill. Now, let's have a look at Scott. We won't look at Largie, we'll look at Scott Brownhill. Scott Brownhill? My God, Josh Brownhill. Okay, so he looks like he's been moving. Now, I asked a question from a lad that I used to work with on the Burnley side of things, how much he was asking for. This individual confirmed to me last night, worked with him a couple of times when I was in the journalism space. He said to me last night, pinch of salt, Brownhill wanted 120 grand a week. That's why he turned down offers from Burnley, turned down offers from Leicester. He apparently had been previously encouraged by Leeds United as well and liked the project, and Wolverhampton Wanderers. So he turned all them down. It looks like he's going to Al Sharab, which I think is just I get you go in to make your money. I understand that, but I think it's a shocking move for him. 29, brilliant end of his, to his last season, playing an attacking midfield role. I don't understand it. I think it's bizarre, but I guess you do when it comes to that inflated money. I understand that to a certain extent, but I really don't understand why you wouldn't apply your trade at maybe another club at Premier League level, then go for money in a couple of years' time, which the offer would still be there on the table with Josh Brownhill, in my opinion. Still be a Premier League player in a couple of years' time. Make that decision then. Utterly bizarre. Now, Robbie Evans said yesterday, what does the team actually need when we're talking about free transfers? Because everybody was speaking about Josh Brownhill. He then said, it's key to do what the team actually needs. I doubt the right player is there. Okay. So I would disagree with Robbie there when it comes to the right player. And I can see Phil Jackson's just there mentioned Josh De Silva. Now, I would be looking at someone like Christian Eriksen. Okay. Elite passer, set-piece specialist, and would massively aid Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Mecha. Now, from the PSR standpoint, guys, there is still 7 leagues still open. As of conversation, 7 European leagues are still open. Leeds can still actively sell. Loans reduce wage expense, short contracts on these free transfers, 12 months, Parag. You told us you do your deals in your sleep. An example of this, and you can minimise amortisation, obviously by doing this, putting them on short contracts. We know Eriksen will demand a decent amount of money, but once again, preparation is absolutely unequivocally key here. He will demand a decent bit of money, but with 7 leagues still been open in Europe, could we sell some of our players, which are still on the books right now, which have interest from said leagues to these teams, and then be able to gain on that PSR standpoint, because we can still actively trade with teams on a selling perspective who have their windows still open. So a key example of how another team in our division as well, who were really, really struggling with PSR this window, were able to activate and utilise that, was Aston Villa, last day of the window, bringing in Victor Lindelof. Relief and no amortisation with that transfer fee as well. So Yeah, potentially there could be a certain amount of players that could move on still for Leeds United. Yes, I am Daniel Ito, yeah. And then maybe you could look at a situation of which Leeds United could be moving on and bringing in someone like a Christian Eriksen and aiding Mr. Farker in his drive to keep Leeds United up. So we'll have to wait and see. Robbie Evans has got a punchable face. Okay. There we go. 120 grand a week, I know, Kyle. What the directors will put heat maps of their players on the site, only Leeds United. Wants a payday, last big contract, 120 grand a week for a championship player. Who does he think he is? But he's got it, hasn't he? He's got it. Indeed. No worries, Scott. Absolutely none. None at all, my friend. None at all. But yeah, that's fine, buddy. Ziyech is ideal and Eriksen. Yes, there is a way of working around this when it comes to PSR. Because I know that can be a bit of an issue when it comes to people. Chris says, any of the free agents injury prone and not played well in 3 or 4 years, right up Underwood Street. I reckon it's a really decent move for Leeds if we were to go and get someone like Eriksen. It's that set piece threat again, isn't it? But we'll have to wait and see on that one. Okay, this guy, interesting. This guy is interesting, and it's kind of hilarious, really, when you look at it. Facundo Buonanotte has been left out of Chelsea's Champions League squad. Can't make it up, can you? Chelsea registered their Champions League squad. Buonanotte was saying how he can't effectively, if you listen to his interview, he can't effectively wait to be playing in Europe and doing all this sort of stuff. It's always been his dream from when he was young. And Facundo Buonanotte, I was having a look at his contract. Could he be recalled by Brighton? He can't be recalled. He's there for the full season, which obviously means Leeds wouldn't be able to go back in for him in January, which is a little bit chaotic. Harry Wilson as well. Fulham apparently would still demand a permanent fee for Wilson, so obviously that wouldn't be aligned with Leeds United. Yeah, it is just, it's mental, isn't it? And I do look at the player decision there from everything you read. Brighton were willing to send him to Leeds United on loan, gone to Chelsea, and he's not been involved in the matchday squad. The Champions League squad. It's absolutely mental. You, as T says, you could not write it. Stripper says he shot himself in the foot, and it is quite ironic, isn't it? And you're just kind of looking at it and laughing at this stage. You're looking at it and laughing and thinking, well, do you know what? Unlucky. But obviously, we know Robbie Evans was speaking about. He was talking about seniority, the certain profile of player that we wanted to bring in from an age of 25 to 28, and the profile when it comes to stature and physicality. Buonanotte apparently was the only one who fit outside that bracket. We obviously know Bilal El-Khanousi is taller, but not really senior. I guess Robbie didn't comment on that, but when he was talking about Facundo Buonanotte, he specifically referenced him being outside of the profile that Leeds were looking for this summer, and them feeling that it was one of those players that they could get. Grass isn't always greener, indeed, mate. Kyriakos says, Connor, I was really excited about the board initially, but the windows are vastly disappointing in my eyes. However, gaslighting fans and trying to play with their IQ is at a whole different level. Yeah, look, you'll all know as well that I'm kind of, I'm maybe a little bit of a 49ers sympathiser. I think me and Jer have spoken about that multiple times. I think we both have been, because I've been in the process of my lifetime where I haven't seen a really good ownership in charge of Leeds, and I've kind of got to this stage right now where, yeah, I am a little bit worried. Doing a bit of deep diving on certain things, doing a bit of research, but also hearing what we've heard over the last day or two, the actions that we've seen as well. Actions normally speak louder than words, and obviously that hasn't happened in the attacking third. We're kind of going into January, and this is why January moves is on the thumbnail, because according to Robbie Evans, when you're having a look at it, they don't need to go into January and do anything. They don't need to exercise the free market. What does the team actually need, says Robbie Evans. I doubt the right player is there when it comes to the free market. When he's been talking about doing something in January as well, Evans effectively was saying that that's why they do the business in the summer. Now, I spoke about this on social media. If Leeds are getting battered week in, week out, which being a newly promoted side is a high likelihood, if we are getting battered week in, week out, I think Robbie's mindset is going to change just a tad when it comes to January, and maybe Leeds United's mindset is going to change just a tad in that month, because I see that now as us just getting there. Get there, injured, get there, you know, with that limp that we've got now of not sorting that attacking phase out. Get there and then just invest if they can. And hopefully they've not left it too late. Tom Rush says apparently Mitrovic contracts terminated. You reckon we go for him? He'd be a brilliant signing. Brilliant signing. And somebody who they should have gone for, in my opinion, in the summer. Excellent signing. Durable. You know, a lot of you guys like that proven track record, and I think it would be important for someone like Mitrovic after spending 2 years out in Saudi to have that proven track record so you can go, oh, to be fair, yeah, he can do it, he can adapt. Yeah, 100% Mitrovic would be on my bingo card. But I think one of the more concerning ones was when he was talking about Illan Meslier. And we'll get on to Meslier in just a second, if we've got him on the sheet. I don't think we have, which is fine. We don't need Meslier on the sheet, but we can add him here when it comes to the player focus. Let's just touch on Illan as well when it comes to the offers that were effectively made for him. Okay, so never forget as well when Angus Kinnear was saying on the Square Ball around about 18 months ago now, we rejected a mid-20s offer for Illan Meslier. My God, you guys know on this channel we've been bargaining to get this guy out for 5 years. And they rejected a mid-20s offer for him. But this was the one that got to me a little bit, to be honest with you. I've been kind of measured with it throughout. Some of it was annoying, of course, when you're looking at the free agent market and when you're looking at the January market and all these other bits. And the Ramazani thing. But this is the one that got to me. He's a good young player. He's not a good young player. He's a good young player. I would disagree with that, and I think the data backs it up in the last 2 years in the Championship. He's also not young. He's 26 in 4 months, Robbie. It's not a young player. He said, frankly, he didn't want to be in a situation, which presumably that means with another club, and apparently they both decided that it's better that he'd be at Leeds. Honestly, completely bizarre. And when I was talking about trading outside the transfer window, Leeds been able to sell, obviously, certain players with the other 7 leagues in Europe right now that can trade because their windows are still open. Leeds can loan. They can, you know, still actively get rid of players, which would help the PSR situation. Try your absolute utmost to get rid of him. Your absolute utmost to get rid of him. But I don't feel like they will, especially with these quotes. It feels like they're looking after Illan Meslier in terms of a player care standpoint as well. It's better for both that he's here. Well, it's not better for Leeds United. How's it better for Leeds United? In what element is it better for Leeds United? We've got 4 registered goalkeepers in a 24-man squad. What are you talking about? Waffle, gaslighty, bollocks. Absolute rubbish. And that was where, you know, the spin doctor really started spinning. And been doing the rumour mill and looking at these consolidated links now for 4 months. We've spoken about Illan Meslier 4 separate times and made him the key topic of 4 separate videos. I went and had a look at my videos previously, went through some of the verbatim that was used, and I clocked 4 different approaches that were maybe not turned down, but the offer wasn't good enough. I clocked the club from out in Turkey, of which apparently was the most keen interest, of which I understand why Leeds A wouldn't maybe trade with them, but B, why fans wouldn't want to see us trade with them. Rangers were another one who were apparently really keen on him. There was Lorient, who were very keen on him apparently, but from what you are to read from other sources, of which wasn't clarified by Robbie Evans, their offer wasn't sufficient enough. And Carlos Corberán obviously knew Illan Meslier and wanted to bring him to Valencia, of which I'm not sure that an offer did materialise, but apparently they came down, they were talking to Leeds United and just couldn't agree a fee, apparently. So 4 separate approaches, it felt like, or interest of which Leeds could have pursued, and it just didn't feel either of, or any of those aligned with Meslier and Leeds United. And I would just love to know, how much we were able to actually push it. And how much of it was based on what Illan Meslier wanted as well. You know, and is that the kind of ruthless approach that we want really? Mitch says, I think only Lorient and that Turkish team had a sniff of Meslier. He clearly would rather pick up a higher salary than go on a free next year. Can't believe the board have not offloaded. 100%, Mitch. That is literally exactly what it is, mate. That is exactly what it is. 4 clubs that were interested, but it looked like there was only 2 really that pushed, but the 2 did still push for him. From what from what we believe. Over the news site, would take 20 quid and a bag of skips. It just depends, doesn't it, in terms of what they value for him? Is it a case of them valuing 5 million is too low? Is 10 million too low? I mean, as I've said, around about 18 months ago, 25 million quid was deemed too low by Angus Kinnear. So I'm just interested to see, what the valuation would be now. Steve's in the building. Hey, Steve. The sad thing is the frustration has in some cases has become misdirected anger. Yeah. That's a smart way of doing it, mate. And this is why kind of over here, I don't want it to just be I want it to always try to be solution-based as well. And we were giving them so much time, so much, wiggle room to get it right. And they still can get it right, I think. They still can get it right this season. And it's just given Farke a real task. And I now, as a person who has criticised Daniel Farke's lineups before, his in-game substitutions, his mid-game management, his comments in the media, a person who's done that in a strange sort of way, and that will continue if Daniel Farke continues. But I've also given Daniel Farke his said plaudits and his what he deserves, which is serious praise from last season. But I now I don't feel sorry for him because he's a Premier League manager on a hell of a lot of money. But to an extent, that latter half of the window, or that next 40% of which Leeds didn't cover themselves in glory post-Germany pre-season, it feels very Norwichy when the Norwich board didn't really back Daniel Farke in the way of which he needed to be backed. And, you look at the quotes in around that period as well, and him saying that they were light in that Norwich side and they needed sustenance, they needed depth. And it's kind of similar to what has happened here with Leeds United and him doing it at the weekend as well. And then Parag saying what he said pre-Everton, it's just a culmination of it's disaster as well. It's just disaster in terms of just the PR spin. However, once again, I do think it's a window split into 2. I think the first half of the window was exceptionally good. I think it was very decent. The second half of the window has just been poor, really poor. And I would go as far to say negligent and naive. So, talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well, they clearly loved ECL. They said, Robbie said that nobody was a better fit to the objective of staying up. But then earlier on in the article, he did say that they'd gone for Muniz first. So, yeah. I wonder as well, when it comes to Parag and this whole situation, because he's now obviously officially out of the 49ers franchise over there, or the 49ers, out of the NFL side over there. It feels like it's interesting when it comes to the deals, the negotiations, because obviously there it's structured contracts, it's centrally governed. It's all about trading and drafting. Over here, I wonder if the Premier League landscape for him was a little bit different. I wonder if it was. I wonder if the new recruitment team Underwood been part of as well, who was one of the key pawns for a lot of the negotiation. How much responsibility was put on him and his team? Was it just left to him? The movement when it comes to Angus Kinnear, Jordan Miles, Nick Hammond, and then promoting within, really, for this window. You kind of look at it now, and we said at the back end of the window, there would be a debrief, there would be a conversation of what's happened and what's not happened. And you do wonder, when you look at Parag and his lack of experience within football, soccer, negotiating fees, relegation clauses, PSR. He's had transfer windows before, but this is his first Premier League transfer window. And I wonder if he's underestimated it a little bit. If he's maybe looked at the landscape that is Leeds United and thought, yeah, we'll be able to get players in because of our name. Doesn't work like that anymore. Doesn't work like that. And I wonder if he's, when he's been talking about doing negotiations in his sleep and contracts in his sleep, whether or not he's just vastly underestimated how powerful the Premier League is and how powerful players are, how powerful agents are, how powerful clubs are. And I just wonder, I think it feels like it would be very different. It's a very different landscape when it comes to the trading of players over there to what it is here at Premier League level. We know he's done the negotiation at Championship level, but solely as our first Premier League window under the San Francisco 49ers. I just wonder when it comes to the timing, the brinkmanship, and ultimately the late collapses when it comes to deals, if they've learnt from that. But the problem is, by relying so much on the name, the Leeds United name, and that sort of culminating in a bit of arrogance and naivety throughout the board, really, whether or not that's going to lead, it's going to really, really hurt Leeds in the long term. I hope not. And I hope I'm wrong. And is there a way out of this? Is there a way out of maybe the lack of potency up front? What we've got to hope is that Dominic Calvert-Lewin stays fit, has the best season he's had in the past sort of 4 or 5 years, plays more than 17 games on average, which he hasn't done in his past 5 years. I like Dominic. I think it's a good signing. I like the signing. They clearly absolutely love the signing of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So I'm just really hoping that that faith is repaid. I really hope it is. They feel, and they've said multiple times, that they achieved all their top targets, which is false because they missed out on Pajau, they missed out on Rodrigo Muniz. So overall, you kind of look at those two and you think they are the difference makers. It feels like they're focused on those two way too much. And I thought maybe deals would be getting done in the background. Maybe you'd be focusing on Pajau, but you'd have a short list of 1 or 2 or 3 as well that you were working on with your recruitment team. It doesn't feel like that happened whatsoever, which really, really is naive and arrogant. Again, we focus on this one player, we'll get him. We'll 100% get him. It's not happened. Same with Muniz, obviously Muniz, Pajau and Muniz is the exact same thing, and they've been let down, late collapses, and that, there's been such a spread between, I think it was the Perry signing, wasn't it, and the signing before that, there was a 3-week spread of which they've been let down by Igor Pajau. And I wonder if they recovered from that. Did they recover from that? I'm not 100% sure they did. So, yeah, it's been a season, the season when it comes to the transfer window of 2 halves. Now, we've just got to hope that Okafor steps up, Aronson maybe play him out wide, which is, he's got less responsibility in the middle of the park and he can make an impact there, hopefully. It's probably his best time for Leeds United. Joe was mentioning quite rightly yesterday, his little cameo against Crystal Palace all those years back was excellent. Jack Harrison, I'd have him in a left-back role, although I would have gone out and got another left-back. There were so many left-backs that Leeds United could have done on loan, as free transfers this window, as very cheap equivalents to that of Jack Harrison, but maybe they just need to utilise that squad because Jack Harrison doesn't have any interest, which is an overflow from the previous ownership as well. And there is overflow from the previous ownership. That has to be absolutely drummed in here. So let's have a quick look at maybe what Leeds could do to make their way around this. And a lot of you are going to shudder when you see this. And I want you to just take it with a pinch of salt to a certain extent, because we are going to be looking at Gabby Goodmanson here, and we are going to be looking at Jayden Bogle as effectively utility players, bombing up and down, making Leeds United into a 3-5-2. But you wonder whether or not this is now going to be Leeds United's most potent formation. You have a 5-3-2 with structured in that midfield, and maybe you have 2 up top, and you maybe can work your way around that. Or if you were to narrow it and make it a 5 or a 4-2-1-2, I believe it would be, you've then got the accessibility of putting Willian Yonto in that number 10 and then having 2 forwards as well. Now, what you are able to do with that is you've got 2 forwards on the pitch. Here, you look completely isolated. If you do change that a little bit and bring that into, as I've just mentioned, a 4-2-1-2, or I believe it would be a 5-1-4. 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so a 4-2-1-2. Would that work on here? Let's have a little look at the custom lineups. The reason I mention this is, well, everybody's, because I think the midfield's got to be compact, but I think Leeds, I don't know why William Jonso's a centre back there. That should be Pascal Strauch. That should be Pascal Strauch, so bear that in mind. But it needs to be packed out in that midfield. Let's see if they do a 4-2-1-2. 4-2 on the old customs, do they? They're not going to show it. Oh, that's really annoying. See, this is what I couldn't find this morning. I couldn't find the specific formation. What's probably the closest? No, it's not going to work. But yeah, obviously Nonso isn't there. We will change that and put it into a Pascal at the back. Not William Nonso in a back three. That'd be fun. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Pascal Strout being back there, so we'd have something like that. But as I've said, guys, you would move that. Annoyingly, we can't do it with the formation we've got on stream now. But if you were to do a 4-2-1-2, it'd make Leeds compact in the midfield. It'd mean that we have the overlaps still as well. But you are relying on those overlaps, and they provide the width. Here in this formation, you would have Gabby Goodmanson and Jayden Bogle effectively acting as left wing and right wingers. That would be what you do in terms of an overlap and underlap, and then you've got two up top. But then you keep that midfield compact. Clearly the onus is on not conceding goals, but if you wanted to move away from that, I'm just trying to look at a situation right now where Leeds United get rid of that central attacking midfielder, because we don't have one right now. We don't have a central attacking midfielder. Jayden Bogle has been absolutely immense when it comes to bombing up and down that right-hand side. If you've got a compact midfield, a compact structure at the back, you're going to be tough to score against. Then you've got Gabby Goodmanson as well on that left-hand side, and you've got two up top. And is that the way that Leeds are going to score goals this season? Because actually, when you look at that central attacking midfield space, and you're looking at the creativity, you look at it and there's not that much there. But when you put in the likes of William Jonso, where would you put him? Is he going to play in wide right? Is he going to play in wide left? What do you guys think? My biggest issue with that formation is it lacks creativity and pace. DCL and Mecha aren't the quickest. We need that from the wings. I think the problem is when you look at the formation now, when it comes to a 4-3-3, and we'll get this up now, and it looks obviously more attacking and more flowy. I think when you get these two up, I think it's so reliant on a number 10 or a number 8. I think it's so reliant on that. And I think if we just move a few bits around here, we'll put Nonso on that right-hand side. And then we will put, let's say, on that, and we'll put Okafor there. You got the midfield. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. So us having this looks a little bit sexier, of course it does. I just worry about the reliance on the number 10 there. And would you rather have two centre forwards, go a little bit more direct and play off that centre forward, or both centre forwards? Dominic Calvert-Lewin can pin the centre backs, and then you've got Lucas Mecha maybe working off him. And then you at least compact at the back. You've got a really stringent midfield three, who their active instruction is to just be part of a back 8, a back 9. A back 8, it would be a back 9. You've got two going forward, and then you just play to your big man and maybe just activate that midfield whenever you play that long ball. Leeds are obviously going to be maybe a little bit more heavier in possession than I'm illustrating there, and I don't think Leeds are going to go to a 5-3-2 or a variance of that. But I think taking out the responsibility of a number 10 is key now, because we don't have one. So you've got to work around that. You look at a 4-2-3-1 here. Heavily reliant on a number 10 or number 8, whatever. But we'll just move this here, and just for argument's sake, we'll put Tanaka in that 10. It's just heavily reliant, and I'm not sure Leeds can work through a number 10 position right now. So I just wonder if it's going to change. I doubt it is, but yeah. Jimmy said you was very close, 95% close. Yeah, it wasn't just him as well, mate. Morning, Connor. Life's unpredictable. Maybe the squad will surprise us all. 100%. Everyone's saying we won't score goals, but the sample size so far is tiny. That is true. And I guess, do you know what as well? What I'd say is the samples. Like we've played 3 good teams. We've played 3 really good teams. Maybe when you come up against the lower ebb teams, Leeds are able to create a little bit more. Maybe. Maybe Leeds are able to play a little bit more. Yeah, I think it was a 5-2-3. It was a 5. I was doing it off the top of my dome. It was a 5-2-1-2. That was it. So it was 5 at the back, 2 in the middle, central attacking midfielder, 2 strike. That's the variance. It wasn't a 4. It was a 5. Apologies for that. I can't count. There you go. Goalkeeper 1, 5 at the back, 2, 1. You're right. It is. It is. Apologies. So you've got the 5 at the back. That's what you can't get on here, unfortunately. So you have to go to the 5-3-2. But if you do want to activate a central attacking midfielder, which I don't see the point, but you've got 5 at the back, including Gabby Goodmanson and Jayden Bogle, who can provide the overlaps. You've got 2 in that midfield, who will probably be in a double pivot. You've got someone in the 10, Willie Nonso maybe, and then you've got the 2 up top. Who knows? But yeah, guys, look. That's been the tea this morning. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Really appreciate it. The Rumour Mill is going to be carrying on throughout the season. I am going to have a couple of days off, though, from tomorrow because I am tired. I'm tired. We do have extra bits on the second channel if you want to catch that out. We've got like an updated table predictor with Callum Fowler coming out at midday. Make sure you check that out. Guys, I'm going to go home. I'm going to have a little bit of a rest. So thank you so much. Slap a like on the video. Let me know what you think.